Welcome, sir.
Thank you very much. I'm thrilled to be with you all today. I think it's just amazing that with the technology we have, we can connect literally around the world. And I have to tell you that being with you today reminds me of my time in Siberia, because we were only 1 or 2 time zones different from where you are. And I'll talk about that a little bit. So I'm going to try to share a PowerPoint. We'll see if this works for you, and let's figure that out before we get any farther here. Let me pull this up. Now, I think if I share this, share my desktop, and then I should be able to start this, and we'll see if this works. Okay, there we go. So I just have to go to the beginning now. Can you guys see the PowerPoint?
Yeah, Steve, we are able to see it.
Okay, good. So what I wanted to talk with you today about was how to win at life, and just give you some reflections from my own journey. I know that COVID-19 has been a challenge for all of us. We're all social beings, and so to be isolated really has an emotional impact on us. And I appreciated the question that was just asked about depression, because that's a significant issue many of us have to navigate given the isolation that we're in. And so I hope that what I share will also help in terms of answering that question.
Steve, I'm sorry to interrupt. I just see the center part of your presentation, but not the full picture.
Okay. I can do this a little different. Let me try something a little different and see if this works better. Let's try this and see. Now, if I go, what are you seeing now?
I see the second slide, and that's fine.
Okay, are you seeing like just the slide, or are you seeing the whole, my whole layout?
Slide 3.
Slide 2 and slide 3. Okay, I can do this actually a little differently. It'll be easier. Here, slide only. Yeah, so I'll just share it like this. So now you should be able to just see the slide, right?
Yeah, I think this is fine.
Okay. Yeah, I will tell you all, I used to work in information technology, and we had a joke, which was that human beings make mistakes, but it takes a computer to really foul things up. And so as wonderful as technology is, sometimes it can create challenges for us. But what I want to do is really accomplish 3 things in our time together here, and I'll keep an eye on the time to make sure I honor that. First, I just want to connect with you on a human and personal level, because I believe transformation happens through relationships and conversations, and transformation happens in the soil of community. And so it was fascinating to hear Diane talk about, really think about who you want to associate with, because the people you spend your time with will impact how you view the world and how you think about things, and even your income. We say in our business, if you take the average income of the 5 people you spend the most time with, your income will probably be right in the middle of whatever those people's income is. So if you want to increase your income, you need to associate with people that have greater incomes than you do, just to understand how they think and how they live, and have access to more opportunities. And I found that to be very, very true in my own life. So with that aside, I want to do 3 things. Connect with you this morning, just have a conversation briefly about winning at life, and give you 3 key points on that topic, and then just talk about ways that we can identify ways we can connect further, because relationships are everything to me, and we'll get into that here. So let me see if I can go. Now I got to figure out how to get to my next slide here. How do I do this? I'll have to put this up. There we go. Okay. So getting connected. I live in the United States in a city you probably haven't heard of called Milwaukee. and you can see it's just north of Chicago in the middle of the United States. And I live in a state called Wisconsin. You can see that right here. It's really a beautiful part of the country, especially in our summertime, which we're in now. And Milwaukee is a Native American Indian name meaning beautiful place. So when the first Native Americans came into this area and they saw Lake Michigan and they saw the beautiful countryside, that was the best way they could describe it. So I feel very grateful for where we live. It's a wonderful city of about 1 million people in the metro area, and so we have all the benefits of a big city, but yet it's small enough that you can go anywhere in the metro area within, say, an hour. And so it's kind of a combination of a large city and small town feel that we really enjoy. And this is just a little bit more of a close-up. We live in this Great Lakes region, so we're on this big lake called Lake Michigan here, and then to the north of us is Lake Superior. I have relatives that live over here in Toledo, so we travel there, and that's on another lake called Lake Erie, and it's just a fascinating part of the country. This is my family. So my wife's name is Heather. We've been married 31 years, and she is a remarkable lady, actually 32 years now, and I'm so thankful for her. And you know, when you have a companion in life that knows you well, it just is a really powerful thing. And we have 3 boys. Nathan is my oldest. He graduated from North Park University in Chicago and is now at Ohio University in Athens, Ohio. He wants to be a college history professor and teach military history, so he's a graduate student right now and just got married last December. And then Karcher, my second son, who's on the left here, is a graduate of Rose-Hulman Institute of Technology, so he has more of a technical education like I think many of you are getting. He was trained as a mechanical engineer and is now an officer in the U.S. Navy, serving on an attack submarine called the USS California, which is based in Groton, Connecticut. So it's very exciting to be a Navy family and have him serving. And then this is my youngest son, Noah, and he just graduated from high school, so he's now 18. He looks different than he does here. This picture is probably 5 years old, yeah, because this is our dog Moses. And Noah is off to Grove City College and thinks he may want to be a pastor. So we're just very blessed as a family, and I really enjoy being a father, really enjoy being a husband. And I will tell you, having worked professionally now for 30 years, when you look back on your life, you won't remember so much where you worked or what positions you had or the clients you worked for, even though those are good memories. But what you'll remember more than anything are your family and friends. And so my heart is just to encourage you to build good relationships with your family. And I know that can be difficult because we're all works in progress, but when you approach it with a heart of gratitude, it makes all the difference. I also wanted to then just share briefly some of my own life experience with COVID-19 recently. So I was at our health club just yesterday and took this picture so you could kind of see. There's a screen here they put up to try to stop transmission of the virus, and the staff are all wearing masks, but they have reopened the club and they have disinfectant everywhere. So it's nice to see them as a business finding ways to reopen and get back to more normal operating. They were closed completely for about 2 months. And as a family, one of the things we did to respond to the crisis that's been very good for us emotionally is to create a vegetable garden, which we've never had before. So this is our vegetable garden in our backyard, and we have corn and squash and beets and zucchini, and we call this our victory garden. In World War II, there were a lot of families in the United States and in England that created what they called victory gardens, and the idea was, since food was scarce, you grow more of your own food. And so we call this our victory garden over COVID-19, and that's been a great family project. I spent my 30s living in a city called Irkutsk, Siberia, which is just north of you guys. Head up through China, Mongolia, and you'll find yourself there on beautiful Lake Baikal. There's a book that you might really enjoy reading called The Long Walk. And The Long Walk is about some European and Americans who were imprisoned in Siberia in the 1930s and decided to escape the labor camp by walking to India. And the book is about their walk to India. And it's a great read. And forgive me, I don't remember the author's name right now, but if you just look for The Long Walk, you'll find it. And there's actually a movie made about it, too. This is my business partner, Greg Francis, and his family. And I just wanted to share briefly their story because I think it conveys why I'm in the business that I'm in and what we do. We give the people the opportunity to become independent business owners, and typically these are professionals who are already working full-time but want to retire earlier than working for 40 years and may want more income and may also want more time freedom. You know, the problem, at least in corporate America, is that you can earn quite a bit of income, but you also end up working a lot of hours. So you end up working 80 hours a week and you never see your family. And so we're in an industry called network marketing, which some of you may have heard of. And we give people the opportunity to become a business owner themselves. And Greg started doing this at age 26. And I just want you to understand what he was able to do. He started in our business as a second income stream at age 26. And 5 years in a row, he created $50,000 of new income for himself, so that at age 31, he was making $60,000 as an engineer and $250,000 as a network marketing professional. And at that point, he was then able to just leave his day job. And so he's been free now for 15 years to spend time raising his kids. And for him, that was very significant because his dad was never home, never saw any of his football games. He was a football player. And so we know their family very well. We're very close friends, also business partners. And the biggest concern that people have with network marketing is that they think, is this what's called a pyramid scheme, or something where some people pay money in so other people can get their money out? And I just want you to know we are not a pyramid scheme. The revenue in our business comes from the sales of products and services, just like any other business. We are a pyramid structure, just like any organization has a pyramid structure. You're going to have a president, you will have some vice presidents, you'll have some directors, some managers, and then employees under that. So what I encourage people to do is think about our business as not a pyramid scheme, but as private franchising. So we set you up as the owner of your own business. Imagine you owned a McDonald's restaurant, but then you had the ability to open as many other McDonald's restaurants as you wanted to. That's kind of how our business works. So we call it private franchising, and I think that's a good way to understand it. All right, so let's see here. Let me see if I can fix this so you can see. Well, you can see it okay. All right, there we go. Some connections to India that I have that I just want to share very briefly, and then I'll get to my main points. But I really believe just knowing each other's people is really important, and a lot of the benefit we can give to each other comes through relationships. So this is why I wanted to share these quick little anecdotes with you. One of my first experiences with India was through a man named Pradeep Samuel Gunnar, who is from Lucknow. We met at a conference in Amsterdam in 1983. And to make a long story short, I was a drummer, and he came up to me after we performed and mentioned that he worked with some teens in his city that were also drummers, and so I gave him a pair of my drumsticks, and we've been friends ever since. And I do get to see him occasionally. His daughter lives in Chicago, and he's just a wonderful person. So he's one Indian national that I know somewhat well. Then when I worked at Northwestern Mutual, I worked with a lot of contractors from India through Infosys. And one of the things they taught me was about your holiday Diwali. And they said, Diwali is wonderful because it's this time when everybody forgives each other and there's joy and light and peace for about 5 days or a week or however long it is. And I mentioned to them, I said, did you know that perpetual Diwali is available to every person on earth? And I won't go into that now, but that's something I believe. So that's another connection for me to your world and culture. When I lived in Irkutsk, there was a plane crash, and this was about 1993 probably. A giant Antonov 124, that's that giant Russian plane that carries air freight, had 2 Sukhoi fighters in it that were destined for India from our city. They build those in our city, in Irkutsk where I lived, and it crashed on the city. And it was really a terrible tragedy. I was up there the day after the crash. It was a little different part of the city than I lived in, but I'll never forget that. And then there's another couple named Mayank and Sejal Gala who are very successful leaders in our business organization, and I know that they have a significant business in India. I don't know the details, but I just mentioned their names to say that if any of you have interest in connecting with me afterwards, and if there might be a way I could open up an opportunity for you through our business system, what I would try to do is connect you with them, and we could then work out some details. So enough on that. So how to win at life. 3 things that I want to get across to you, and these are just critical. First of all, find mentors and pursue them. There are 2 ways that we learn things in life. One is through mentors, and one is through experience. And so you've got to find mentors that have what you want and can help you to figure out how to get that for yourself. And in our mentorship program, we talk about 4 considerations that I think everybody needs in life. First, we all need to reflect on what is my purpose? What is my big why for what I'm doing? So even more importantly than what you're doing is why you're doing it. And I can tell you, for me, some of my whys have a lot to do with my family and my family legacy, and also wanting to bring hope to people and places. So spend some time, and there's a great exercise you can go through that I learned from Simon Sinek. Some of you may have seen some of his videos on YouTube. And he talks about 5 layers of why. So if you're, say, pursuing a job as a computer programmer, which is something I'm familiar with, ask yourself, why am I doing this job? And then take the answer to that question and say, why did I answer that way? And then do that 5 times. And by the 5th answer, you will be getting down to some core emotional reasons for why you're doing what you're doing. And if you can identify with that, pull that out, you will find yourself very motivated to pursue whatever it is you're doing. I'll tell you one way I can really identify with that is as a musician. I was a musician in college, a jazz drummer, and there was something about playing that allowed me to express myself in ways that I can't even put into words, and that was so meaningful and continues to be meaningful for me to this day. So you have to have that purpose, sense of purpose, and that comes from reading, that comes from spending time with mentors, that comes from time from praying, from journaling, talking with friends. So work on that, work on your purpose, work on your why. Then the second thing you need is a strategy. So once you know what your why is, what's your strategy for accomplishing your purpose? And then thirdly, you need a vehicle for accomplishing your strategy. And then fourth, you need mentors who can teach you how to drive the car well, drive the vehicle well in pursuit of your strategy, in pursuit of your purpose. So that's a great framework for life, I believe. So I'm just going to hop around a little bit here. So 3 things that I want to share with you. First, find mentors and pursue them. That's the first point that we just covered. Now I'm going to share 2 other points with you. Second, focus on what you can control, attitude and actions. And then I'll say thirdly that we need to live with a 5-year time horizon. So I'll get into that second point quickly here. Focus on what you can control. We all realize in this era of COVID, there's a lot out of our control. None of us can control this virus other than to possibly wear a face mask, which may have some effect, socially distance, try to take care of ourselves in terms of being physically healthy, and that's about it. So what can we always control no matter what? 2 things. We can control our attitude in terms of how we react to things, and we can control our actions in terms of how we respond to things. So for me, I want you to know I am a strong Christian, and Psalm 23 has been very significant for me. There's one passage in there that says this. It says, He leads me beside quiet waters. He makes me lie down in green pastures. He restores my soul. And the big idea there is that no matter what's going on in the world, even if it involves great adversity, there is quiet water available. There are green pastures available in a spiritual sense. And there is restoration for our souls available. And, you know, your spiritual convictions are also very significant for your direction in life. And I encourage you to also spend time developing those and really thinking about those. You know, globally, we live more and more in a secular culture, and yet the biggest questions in life are not the material questions. They're the immaterial questions and the eternal questions. And we would need to have a longer conversation, but I love talking about those kind of things too. So then in terms of actions, we can all respond well. So like I showed you our victory garden. So that was for us an example of responding to COVID-19 and also believing that there's hope and beauty and goodness all around us, even in the midst of a pandemic. So that can give you some things to think about. Thirdly and lastly, to win at life, we need to live with a 5-year time horizon. This was totally new to me until I got into my current business 2 years ago. I'd never heard this before. But my mentor, Greg, said, look, what successful people do is they think 5 years out, and then they get really clear on where they want to be in 5 years. And in our business, we talk about where do you want to be in terms of income, where do you want to be in terms of time freedom, and where do you want to be in terms of quality of relationships. And if you get real clarity on that, what Greg has said is all of us greatly overestimate what we can accomplish in a day. I don't know about you, but I'll make a to-do list of up to, say, 30 things. And if I get 10 of those done, it's been a really good day. And I actually try to get 3 things done a day, and that typically is a good day. So it's very easy for me to overestimate what I can accomplish in a day. But we underestimate what we can accomplish in 5 years if we can get a focus on where we want to go and then align our priorities today with where we want to be 5 years from now. So we have a saying that if you don't know where you're going, you're bound to end up there, which is nowhere. All right. But if you know where you're going, you can get there just by taking one step at a time, day after day, with purpose and with hope and with conviction. So I would ask you each to think about, what do you want in terms of income, in terms of time freedom, in terms of quality of relationships? And maybe there's other things that are even more important to you than those 3 considerations. But figure out what you really want, and then put together a plan for yourself to put those things into your life over a 5-year period, and you'll be amazed at what you can accomplish. So I would love to connect with you all further. I'd love to just take some questions if and as there is time right now, but here are ways that you can connect with me, and I will share this with Dr. Innie after the presentation too. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Steve. Can we have a quick question, Steve? Is that fine with you? How important is networking, relationship management, and reputation for having a successful business or a successful career?
Relationships are extremely important, and the biggest indicator for success in business is actually not intellectual intelligence, but emotional intelligence. And so, in many cases, our schools don't really do as good a job as they could in terms of teaching emotional intelligence. One book that everyone should read in this regard is Dale Carnegie's How to Win Friends and Influence People. And when you build a relationship, that's for a lifetime. And so if you make positive emotional deposits in a relationship, that can pay dividends for the rest of your life. If you offend somebody or don't fulfill a promise to somebody, that can be remembered for a lifetime too and hurt you for the rest of your life. Fortunately, you can learn skills about how to repair relationships with customers and colleagues, and that's just critical. And I found that senior leaders in organizations typically are the ones that can become very emotionally grounded, and they then become very steady under stress and adversity, which makes other people feel safe with them. And creating safety and creating optimism is so important in any organization, whether it's private, public, social sector.
Thank you very much, Steve. On behalf of all the participants, I would like to thank you for spending your valuable time and sharing your thoughtful inputs, Steve. Once again, thank you very much.
Thank you, Joshua.